That's it.
Fucking drill bit Taylor.
Hell
fuck up my...
yeah.
I'll get you a new one. Drill bit Tyler.
Good to go.
So, Brock, something's been on my mind.
All right, let me hear it.
Are we, I mean, this has been running through my mind.
Yes.
I think about it all the time.
Okay.
Are we the descendants of an ancient alien civilization? Visited Earth and seeded Earth with our DNA?
I tend to believe that sometimes when I take mushrooms, I have these thoughts about how this all started. It was approximately 2 million years ago that there was this big evolutionary shift. And what is that? I don't know. Is it aliens that came down? Is it evolution? Is it who fucking knows? What are your thoughts?
I think we have two guests with us today.
Yes.
That should be introduced.
Okay. Well, you were taking it away, so I was letting you do it. All right. How's everyone doing? How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Good.
Fantastic. I want to thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast. When Tyler said you guys were both willing to come on here, I was so freaking stoked because one, I've heard so much about you, Mr. Moon. Number two, Simon, I've talked to you a few times. Yes, cheers. And everything that Tyler says about you. And I just see your work. I just am so blown away by everything that has happened.
They are grade A rare birds, both of them.
Yeah.
The rarest people that I know.
Well,
to be completely honest.
And that's huge coming from Tyler. Tyler's got
huge. One of us is an alien. We're gonna figure out which one.
Let the games begin.
Tyler's got huge expectations. That being said, for the people just listening, why don't you guys introduce yourself? Simon, why don't you start?
Yeah, Simon Saval. Great friends with Tyler and known both of those wonderful people for a long time. And Tyler and I work together too at a company called Jupiter.
Yeah.
And I'm stoked to be on here. So we're gonna have fun.
Heck yeah, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm really proud of everything you guys are doing. And keep up the amazing work. We'll get into that shortly. All right. How about you, Handsome?
Hello, my name is formerly, or you guys address me as Mr. Moon. And I'm a designer, inventor, and technologist, and worked for, about a decade in tech startups and for major movie studios, kind of looking a few years into the future and thinking about what technologies are coming down the pipeline and how, businesses, or in some cases, studios could utilize and leverage that technology to create, new forms of content.
Wow.
And he's fucking awesome too.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Both of you guys, seriously, like Tyler said, grade A human beings. And Tyler's here for round two. Why don't you do a little brief introduction?
Yeah. So most recently, Simon and I are working on Jupiter. And in the past, I worked in the beauty industry as an entrepreneur, and excited to be working on the new mission, which is to lower stress in the world through our company, Jupiter.
There we go.
GetJupiter.com.
GetJupiter.com. Right off the bat. Nice plug.
Let's get into some weird conversations.
Yes.
I want this to be a fun, interesting. Like, I've gone on two or three dinners with Simon, and I'm going to go with Mr. Moon. We're not using a real name. I'm going to ask you to bleep out the real name, please.
Yes, sir.
And they've been probably the most memorable dinners that I've ever had. And often during the conversations, as we wandered, some realization happens. And what I always do is try to give it an abbreviation, like a shorthand, so that I can remember the concept. And I mean, there's so many of them that I still reference. And when I think back to where they came from the dinners that we had. So I'm hoping that we have another similar conversation like that. I remember the time that we went to the dunes. You guys remember that? We went and rode...
ATVs.
My body remembers.
Yeah.
My body remembers.
One story.
Let's hear it.
I'll tell one story from the dunes just real quick because it's great. So, I get off the ATV to take a video, and I turn to my left, and Simon has somehow got his ATV vertical, so it's sitting on its back.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just, wheels are just spinning, throwing sand everywhere. And I'm like, how the fuck do you get that thing vertical like that? And I'm like, you have to see this. And I turn around, and has fallen off his ATV, and the ATV is rolling down a sand hill.
Are you fucking serious? At the same time?
At the same time.
Oh,
yeah. Look at this. This is crazy.
2 seconds felt like an eternity. I remember that ATV being perfectly suspended in time and space. I swear to God, it was only 2 seconds, but to Tyler and me, it felt like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Slow-mo.
And then to see like in a battle for his life with the ATV.
Yes,
At the
yes.
same
What were you guys
Yeah.
doing out there?
We were just riding ATVs in the dunes. What were the
Yeah, we're
dunes
just
called?
being dumb.
Fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
But,
just
it
being
seemed
stupid,
like-
having a good time.
I love that.
I don't think we'd ever been out there before.
Pismo Beach is, I think, what it was.
Pismo Beach.
Pismo
Pismo.
Beach, man. Yes. I remember as a kid, my dad, you know, like we all went there and you got the big dunes and everything like that. And we were like on this dune buggy tour, something like that. And we started like going up and down the hills and I was so fucking scared. And literally like after 2 minutes, I made my mom get out with me and walk down the dunes because I just would not even go in it. As an adult, I haven't even had a chance to go back to
I got a
that.
great photo of Mr. Moon walking across the desert. I mean, the dunes, right?
Yeah.
But it is a super wide shot, and there's nothing around him. He looks
Fuck
like he's
yeah.
on Mars.
You got to
It's
send that to
amazing.
me. You got to send that to me.
It's amazing.
It's I plan to be a Mars colonist if I live long enough. So it's my early training for that mission.
There we go. How long do you think until that actually is a reality?
According to Elon Musk, probably like 10 years, right?
When the first go.
How is that even possible, though? Like, we have to think about, we have to fly so many things there.
Right.
How would we even colonize it? I mean, I know he has that
Yeah.
big ass rocket. What is it
We
called?
probably do a robotic mission first, is what I heard.
Okay.
And get some stuff in place that's kind of dangerous and could go wrong. You probably have to do a couple of those. And once you have like housing ready and a couple of resources going, then I think it's not that risky anymore.
Yeah.
The actual travel and landing is risky, but not arriving anymore.
So you think 10 years? That's what Musk says?
I
10
believe
years?
so, but it has to be timed right too, right?
Yeah.
I would say 10 years probably for those robotic missions to have landed and start, stuff's happening there.
And
But I
so
think,
then-
Tyler, you're
Yeah.
right, Tyler, that there's like a certain window, right? Like every 7 years, there's like a
There's
perfect
an
alignment
ellipsis.
of the
Right.
distances.
Yeah.
and so wait, what is that perfect time? Why is there this perfect
The
time
distance.
Okay.
Mr. Moon can probably explain it better than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, both planets are orbiting the sun in sort of their own like orbits, and there's times when they're just naturally closer together in those orbits, and there's times when they're just farther apart. One's on this side of the sun and the other one's on the other side. So you want to like shoot such that, because everything's like a moving target, but you want to like launch your rocket such that you launch at that where you launch ahead of time, and so when the planets are getting closer, you cover less distance than you would have trying to shoot at any other time.
Well, what that means then is once you get there, it's a while before you can come back.
Damn.
As well, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
going to be a one-way ticket most likely for everybody.
Most likely, yeah. It's going to be real hard to leave that gravity well.
Can you
Yeah.
believe it? Right now, there are people who are alive who are going to die on Mars.
That's incredible.
People walking.
Hopefully not on impact.
Not on
Elon
impact.
Musk
Yeah.
makes
That's the
that-
joke.
Yeah, no, that would be
Yeah.
fucking terrible. That would be terrible. When he just launched the astronauts up to the space station, there was so much writing on that. If that would have gone wrong, his reputation, I don't want to say it'd be ruined, but it definitely would have changed a lot of things. But seeing how successful it was, and then just like the new suits that they created, they were so fucking badass, man. For Mars, though, do we have to create like domes? Do you live underground? How does that work out?
Yeah, I think there's different kind of ideas. One idea I've heard is that because of the low gravity, you're going to have to build your structure sort of in like a donut shape that are on tracks, basically, at a slight incline. And these things are going to be rotating, and then you can generate a 1G kind of environment inside. And then you kind of go up and down these like donuts that you've set up underneath the ground
Wait,
through
on
like a
Mars?
vertical shaft. Yeah,
Yes.
on Mars.
Ah.
Yeah.
You know what's
Holy
great?
shit.
You can ask Mr. Moon any fucking
why.
weird
Be
esoteric
digging
question.
underground.
Any weird esoteric question, and he'll explain it to you in great detail.
I mean,
No
if
way.
I know about it,
Okay,
I know.
did
If I
you
don't know about it, I'll say.
Well, we
I-
won't
I-
even know about things that to ask about that you wouldn't know about.
Did you guys see that? What was that movie with Brad Pitt? Like one of his latest ones, Interstellar. Have you guys had a chance to check that out?
You mean Ad
Matthew
Astra?
McConaughey.
Ad Astra. There we go. Yeah. What
Oh, Ad Astra. Yeah.
What did you think about that? Like there was just something, I don't know, kind of realistic about it, and I could be completely wrong. But how they were, populating
I
the
actually
moon
haven't.
and Mars.
I haven't seen the film yet. I've only seen like a trailer for it. So
It's a good one. A
I'm
little slow.
not gonna
Yeah, it is
spoil
slow.
it, but they went all out in terms of being realistic, in terms of how they calculated everything and the models they used to animate everything. So as far as I know, it's actually super realistic, or maybe one of the most realistic movies they've ever made.
Yeah, it was definitely incredible to see. There was just something so unique about it, looking into the future. If that's what how we would like be on the moon and Mars and these different these different planets, it definitely seems like that is what the future will be like. You're gonna say something?
I'm a fan of spacifying the human body more than trying to make habitats that are in space in this super hostile environment, but are housing these meat bags basically.
Yeah.
So what do you mean when you say spacify a human?
Cyborg that shit, bitch.
Cyborg, or have some basically use advanced technology to make it so that I can be out in the vacuum of space and not die, basically, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's something that's always, kind of been on my mind when I think about it, is that, like you said, we're just big meat bags. We're like fucking balloons. And we don't do well in space. So how does the human body live? How do we even live on Mars for an extended period of time without causing, major damage to the body?
Radiation would get us pretty quick. If I'm not
Underground,
mistaken. Yeah, underground is one way if we have to be human, right?
Yeah, but I think that's not a long-term solution anyways. I mean, long-term we have to merge with machines or send some kind of AI on a really long space flight, like a multi-generational flight.
Do you think that's the next
Probably.
phase of evolution for man is, becoming a cyborg?
Yeah.
If we're lucky.
No doubt.
Yeah,
if we're lucky.
It's either that or the great filter, and we're gone.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with the Great Filter?
I am not.
So the idea, maybe Simon wants to chime in on this since he brought it up.
It's a theory about big, very bad events that happen probably to all civilizations across the universe, where something very bad happens that just eradicates the entire civilization they built. And it can happen at different points. It can be when they're very early in development, just microbes or something like that, or it could be that we blow all of us to hell with nukes. That could happen too, or something like that, or like the sun causing some really bad event. So essentially, like events that extinguish an entire species.
And it's rooted in the paradox, right? The Fermi paradox.
The Fermi paradox, that's right.
Which is
so a little bit to kind of explain this. Like when we look out into the stars, we don't see any signs of aliens. There's no aliens writing like, "Hey, we're here with their stars and their galaxy," or anything like that. So the big question has been, where are they? Where are the aliens? And one of the answers is, well, maybe there's just sort of these different milestones that a planet, let's say, needs to hit in order for life to form. And in many planets, that just doesn't happen. And then once life forms, it needs to have this super stable environment so it can have a chance to evolve into, all these different life forms, etc. So at each of these milestones, developmental milestones for life turning into a technologically advanced civilization, different extinction level events could occur that wipe all life or the civilization out. And so one of the questions we have as humans is, okay, we know we're an advanced civilization now. Are we past that great filter? Did we successfully pass that super hard barrier, or is that super hard barrier still in the future and we're moving towards it and then we're gonna all die basically? And the more common life is in the universe, the more likely that filter is gonna be in the future rather than in the past.
And the reality is, it's most likely we haven't gotten to the great filter because we haven't had the technology to wipe ourselves out in a blink.
And what about nuclear
For very
weapons?
long.
Well,
I mean,
We haven't had it for very long.
Yeah.
This is true.
Well, like the Cuban Missile Crisis, I think we came pretty close to wiping out the northern hemisphere at least.
Yeah, but
My belief is that the great filter is behind us personally.
That's optimistic.
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, and I think that when you're talking about, I think it's kind of trivial to have planets that have organic compounds and simple life forms, but I do think that having planets that are so stable for so long, where you could survive, for example, a comet striking and killing vast swaths of your life and recover from it and still give rise to intelligent apes, I think those kinds of planets are so rare. My guess, based on my own thinking about this shit for 20 years and just keeping track of as much science as I can, is that I wouldn't be surprised if it's like really rare, like maybe one technologically advanced civilization per galaxy cluster, or maybe per super cluster, which would, given the size of the universe, would still mean around 10 million technologically advanced civilizations in the observable universe, which is, still
That's a lot. That's a lot. Do you think, like with this rise of like the Pentagon coming out and talking about UFOs and just everything that we've talked about, especially over the past century, do you think that they're here? Do you think that they're watching us? What are your thoughts on that?
I've been struggling with that question. My guess is that if you're an alien civilization, something the size of a grain of sand, or smaller than the size of a Coke can, is probably enough to do everything you need it to. It doesn't need to be that big, So when I see some of these videos, I just think they look too big. I don't think an alien civilization would send anything that big, personally. So that, I think there's something there. I wonder if it's maybe experimental craft. I'm not convinced yet that they visited us yet.
So with the video with what is Commander David Favor, right? You don't think that's alien, not created in our planet, or it's just America or Russia or China with some advanced technology?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it is. I've seen really impressive stuff with drones. And if you can imagine, before everybody knew what a drone was, if you were working on drones, you probably thought that was a UFO.
You're not suggesting that the Tic Tac was a drone, are you?
No, because the movement of that is just too crazy to be.
So, but it was like it's not using any kind of like rapidly like expanding gas for combustion. Yeah, the propulsion system, completely unique. Nothing that we have or that we know that we have on the surface. So
it's interesting.
It is.
I mean, my guess is that if an alien civilization wanted to kind of like keep tabs on us, I don't think we would ever know about them unless they on purpose wanted us to find out.
In order for them to cross the distance to get to us, it would probably be pretty believable that they would have the technology to make no chance that we would be able to see them.
That is very true. I mean,
I'm actually, what I think, if they are capable of sending these kinds of spacecraft, I think that most likely, they're more advanced than us by thousands of years. So, they've probably merged with man and machine. They might be able to send their entire civilization on a Coke can. Or a probe this size. They're sending trillions of individuals. It's not like a small cruise.
Data. You're saying
it's just data. Yeah, and then they have copies that they left for themselves back in their home world, and then they can just sync up after the trip is over.
How insane would that be? I mean, to even fathom something like that
makes the most sense.
It does. It does.
If consciousness can be turned into data, why would we send a human body?
100%.
Wouldn't make any sense.
No, not at all. Not at all. Do you think in the foreseeable future we're going to be able to do something like that, especially with like Neuralink and everything Musk is working on and other companies?
Yeah,
I'm
so.
super hopeful about that. I think it's totally possible, especially with the new stuff they're working on, where it's less invasive. You don't have to drill a hole anymore. You just put it through your vein, and it essentially like snakes its way up to your brain. I could see that everybody doing that in 30 years or something like that. Like you just.
And that's not.
You get it inserted. You're good to
go. That's fucking. That's so insane. I mean, and that's in our lifetime, 30 years from now. That's. I mean, it's a blink of an eye.
It up. I have no idea if it's 30 years, but I don't know what it must say. How long that's actually. Like,
I don't think
2020, right? They're gonna do some first tests.
Yeah. I don't think he's put out like a roadmap of how he of like what year he expects like telepathy or for example, but I know that capability is possible with what he's working on.
Now, would you do it? That's a real question. Would you guys do it? Would you do it, Tyler? Simon, Mr. Moon, would you do it?
Yeah. No
on a long enough time frame, I don't think we have a choice.
Yeah, and the question becomes is what is the consequence of not doing it? That's probably
you miss out on
question.
Culture.
You miss out on I mean, culture is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Intelligence,
you become
economics.
Functioning. It's like saying, let's say you deny electricity and the internet and an iPhone. Like you're just anti-technology. Like you can function, you can survive, you can live in the forest or in a hut or something like that, but you're no longer competitive and can participate in modern culture. So it's just the same extrapolated.
Yeah, it's similar to the internet. If you haven't been on the internet the past 10 years, you've just missed out on so much.
Now
you don't even realize how much.
Now, is that a beautiful thing though? Like individuals that are out there that don't have access to the internet, that are just living off the land, living, like we were, thousands and thousands of years ago.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, definitely. But I definitely appreciate the internet and technology and everything that it has done for us as society.
In a way to look at this is not, it's advanced technology. And sometimes if you think about the road of technology, it's actually to become invisible. So there is a possibility that if we're able to get rid of our watches, get rid of our phones, get rid of our computers, and just have something like a Neuralink, we actually can almost maybe revert to a more natural state, except for the one thing, as opposed to having 15 different things.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That is. Do you think there comes a point where we kind of like ants, how they kind of all come together? If you look at an ant colony, yes, they're individual ants, but they work as a collective. Do you think that there comes a time where, us as human beings, we are that collective, we come together like that?
Yeah, that's the singleton, I believe. That's the idea that once the singularity hits, the merging of the minds creates this like super mind called the singleton.
Wasn't that how Evangelion ended?
Something like that. Yeah, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Yeah, I think,
what is that?
That's how it ended.
Crazy good anime. If anybody's
really good anime from the early to mid '90s from Studio IG.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
One of the weirdest animes ever.
It got
highly
weird.
recommend.
It didn't start so weird.
Yeah, they somehow mixed the book of like with Apocalypses from the Bible. Like they combined that with the Dead Sea Scrolls with like giant robot mecha anime fighting like stuff. Somehow all of that exists in Evangelion. It was really good.
Can you watch it on Netflix or anything like that?
It is.
It was on Netflix.
During the quarantine, I rewatched the entire thing, which I hadn't done in a while. Like I hadn't watched it in so long that seeing it now as an adult, I was like, holy shit. What is this?
I can't believe it got made.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what was it playing on?
What do you mean?
Like what Cartoon Network or?
It did at one point. It played on Adult Swim, but when I probably watched it on DVD when I was younger.
Yeah, DVD, same here.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah. For you guys, like how for you, like, have you guys always been interested in this type of stuff? Is it something like that your parents, or how does that even, for you, how's that even come about?
I was always interested in all of this stuff. It's part of why I came to the US from Germany to begin with. Like I love technological advance. I love humanity coming together and creating like this utopian civilization in the future where we all live peacefully together and we just create and we're multiplanetary and all that kind of stuff. And I think being part of creating stuff is important and a huge part of that. So I've always, I think it's like second nature to me. It's in my genes somehow.
So I sometimes question that idea that these things are innate because of these positive feedback loops that we get exposed to when we're young. One of the ones for me was, I think if I did something weird to my hair and then somebody gave me a compliment. And so I was like, oh, okay. So this is how I get that attention that I want. I do something fucking weird with my hair. Next thing I know, I got blue hair, there's spikes, there are all kinds of shit. People are like, this guy's a fucking weirdo. But they don't know what to say. So they're like, hey man, cool hair.
Yeah.
And the cycle continues. So I sometimes wonder, was there a thing? Because I can tell you what the thing was for me that got me going down the technology path.
But don't you think it's both? It's like nature and nurture most likely. And it's almost impossible to actually know, like what.
That's true.
I mean, sometimes there is a singular instance that starts a spin wheel that just is undeniable.
Okay. For you, what was it?
Well, I don't want to infect their minds.
Shut up.
But I'm wondering what.
I want to hear it.
Yes, come on.
It was the Age of Spiritual Machines.
Right. Kurzweil.
Yep. Once I read that and quickly moved on to the Singularity, game over.
Age of Spiritual Machines. Yeah, that was a crazy book.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Wikipedia was like, woo. Wikipedia had everything on it, and you could go down the rabbit holes.
What about for you, Mr. Moon?
So I grew up in a really, really small town in South America, like with literally very little technology. But I remember one day there was a Michael Jackson music video. I believe it was Moonwalker, where he turns into the spaceship. And I was maybe like 4 or 5 years old. And as soon as I saw that image, I was like, I want to be a spaceship. And that's it. That was it. I was off to the races ever since, basically devouring everything about science and technology. I had, the subscription to Popular Science and the whole works, basically. It was
Holy
instant.
shit. So you just nerded out, man. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
It was like a light switch. I was like, yes, I want to be a spaceship.
Do you guys know that website, Future Timeline? Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah.
I think that was a very early thing for me. I honestly don't remember how long it was ago, but it's a really cool website that shows you like what's going to happen the next year, the next 5 years, the next 10, the next 100, the next 1,000.
Yeah.
And obviously, the further out you go, the more shaky it is. It's just a prediction.
It's pretty, some of that's pretty funny.
But
It's like,
a huge
yeah.
rabbit hole. And if you zoom out far enough, you realize how insignificant we are right now and how much potential there is if you really zoom out.
Yeah, there's something to say about that. It's like how insignificant all of us are, each and every single one of us. But we live and we move every single fucking day. For me, technology has just kind of always been a part of my life, and I can't think about a single point. I haven't gone as far down the rabbit hole as you three fuckers, but for me, it's definitely changed my life. What do you guys see the negative, right? If you look at the internet, right, there's a lot of positive, but the negative side of it, do you think that in time the positive will take off and continue, or there will be so much negative that it's going to transform society?
I'll give a rough analogy just so to make this a fair argument, which is you give 100 people a hammer, 99 of them hammer a nail, and one person hits somebody in the head with it. So technology,
that's a clip,
is very usable. It just is the matter of who's using it with what intent.
Yeah.
And again, I think Simon and Mr. Moon both probably have a lot of insights on that, even more than I do.
I agree with you. I'm definitely very much a technology optimist. And I would argue you should give out the hammers far and wide and create more hammers and invent better hammers.
Yeah.
Definitely optimistic about it. But unless there's a great filter, it's I don't like the idea that 1 or 2 or 3 people sit at some big red button and can like nuke us or something like that. That's not good either.
Same. I'm optimistic because I just don't think we have a choice. So
I get that.
Yeah. Maybe that's the most rational way to look at it, which is, okay, show me the alternative. And I mean, show me the alternative.
There's no stopping it.
And there's probably two true real options, which is, I mean, in capitalism, we go as fast as we can in as many directions as we can as a species, and we see who gets it right. The other option is to find a way to slow the speed with the idea that we would have more control. But the levers for doing that are so
and how do you slow
I don't
it,
see that happening.
Like you can slow it in Europe, or you can slow it in the US, but some other countries just going to continue.
China's like, hey, we're cloning people.
Yeah, I know.
Look at this one. This one's got a laser on its arm.
Do you think they're already doing that?
What do you think?
Maybe.
I think strong possibility. Yeah.
There's a game, like theoretical perspective, that when you have these many nations kind of on the same planet, like you could never get consensus on almost anything, because if the US bans something, some other country will super approve it just out of spite.
Yeah. It's like everything going on, like you said, ban, like TikTok right now.
Right.
We could curb artificial intelligence development, for example, in America, but how do you slow that down in China?
You don't slow it down globally. Like under Bush, right? Like way back, they ban certain genetic research, and all that did was set the US back like a couple of years. And it's just inevitable anyways that it happens, because so many people are like, I want to walk, I don't want to have cancer,
exactly.
I want to see better, and that's completely legitimate. You can't really stop that.
Yeah, market forces take hold, and then exactly. There's a demand; it will find a way of getting that supply.
Yeah, there's definitely I don't see anything slowing this down, and when you do slow it down, then you're just 2 steps behind. And
is it bad, Brock? Do you think it's actually bad, or are you positive about it too?
For what? Like slowing things down, or
everything, like technology and where it's going, this trend, you know.
I'm 110% for it. You know, like you guys, I'm very optimistic about the future. Obviously, there are, you know, signs and things like that, especially things that go on with social media and all these different nations trying to play their part. But as far as a whole, I'm super optimistic, and I see that there does come a time where we fully merge with machine. I mean, before COVID, I would, you know, let's say go to the mall, and every single fucking person that's walking down the street's got a phone in their hand looking down, right? There's going to come a time where that phone is part of you, and that's going to happen in our lifetime. And so I talk about this all the time on the podcast. We are first generation cyborgs, right? I mean, think about how much more information and how, you know, how much more smarter we are as a species with this ability to access the internet and all the information that it holds.
There's a perspective too that's not often talked about when it comes to sort of thinking about the future of man and machine merging as well, and that's that if you get the technology to, you know, map the human brain at this detail, then you're only a short jump away from being able to do mental duplicates of people. And so the natural thing that you would want to do in such a scenario is find the best 1,000 or 2,000 best humans at every freaking job, capture, you know, a snapshot of their mind, and then generate thousands and millions of copies as needed of their mind to supply high quality jobs at very low cost. And that's going to completely shift the relationship between like what it means to be human and works, because it will literally put every single human out of a job.
Could you imagine if there
you have the best? I mean, you're going to have an Elon Musk level mind for pennies on the dollar.
Like imagine 100 Simons.
Dude, that would be fucking crazy. Is that happening in our lifetime?
I think at the rate we're going, there's a good chance.
That's a rabbit hole you just opened anyways with lifetime, and how do you even define that? How long are we going to live? You know, what's realistic? I think we're going to live a lot longer than you might think.
Yeah.
True.
Definitely. I mean,
and hey, even if you don't live a long time, you could undergo cryonic preservation and then become one of these uploaded future 1,000 individuals who can, you know, produce a ton of economic output.
All right, run that Alcor ad. Okay, but run the Alcor ad now.
But hold on. So we freeze our bodies, right? Even if we die early, right? But what happens if, you know, consciousness is really something else? Like, you know, there is something after, right? This is just kind of that first step. Obviously, if they bring you back, maybe nothing's there or something's there. I don't fucking know.
You're asking if there's life after death.
I mean,
what if?
Yeah, what if?
My perspective on that is that, well, so I have a weird perspective on this.
I like weird perspectives.
That I've come to the realization recently, actually, and that's that from the perspective of a conscious observer, you don't ever die.
Yeah.
And I'll explain why. All right. So you're going to die. Okay. You're dead. Your consciousness turns off. The universe keeps unfolding. From what we know about cosmic inflation, and it appears that the LIGO data confirms that hypothesis. Eventually, fast forward 100 trillion years, right after you're dead, the space-time that we're sitting in, this vacuum that's now expanded to this giant size, can basically collapse in on itself and generate a bubble nucleation and starting a new cosmos. In one of those cosmos, from all these little patches of space-time vacuum exploding, basically, you're going to pop into one of them, and because it's just the law of numbers, and you will once again be conscious. And since you only experience time while your consciousness is running, the second after you die, you're going to be waking up again as yourself. And in another universe, but from your point of view, there's no sense of time. So what does it matter?
So do you think that is, that's a lot to take in.
I caught most of it.
Is that still you though?
Is it still you?
Yeah.
Do you have previous memories?
No, you have no memories. You have no memory because you're in a new universe.
Okay, right. So
if
consciousness doesn't include memory, I may have to make an argument that that's not consciousness. Like,
what is it?
It's somebody else's consciousness at that point. It's not your consciousness.
So that's so fucking weird.
You need to expand your definition of you being a conscious entity by realizing that you are under the effect of a wave function. So not only do you exist in your current form, but probably all the possible ways you could have existed due to the quantum mechanical nature of reality. So I think maybe we needs to be practice expanding like our concept of self to include some of these facts that we know from quantum mechanics. So really, I'm not just myself. I'm a cosmos of myself in different superpositions, and some of them across different universes, and they're popping into existence and living in maybe some of them very similar lives to me, maybe in some cases very different lives to me.
But if you come back, what body? How old? Do you know what happened? Like
no, you're in a new universe. It's just you're in a new universe, and it's evolved for 16 billion years, and the same sort of events that occurred in this one have occurred there. Your parents met eventually, and they've given rise to the rendered version of your DNA code, which is you. And now you've woken up once again in a universe, but you're basically a new person. You're just, in some other previous universe, you also existed as well.
This conversation is like on this iceberg, and I'm just jumping from fucking iceberg to iceberg trying to keep up, and he's getting further and further into the distance.
The primary mechanism to understand, though, is I think inflation, and sort of what happens sort of in the first microsecond or even before the Big Bang, and it has to do with basically something called the scalar field, and it's a quantum field that can expand things. And when you combine that with a vacuum state, you inevitably get basically infinitely expanding cosmos that is cyclic and gives birth to more and more cosmoses due to the process of inflation and quantum mechanics.
Okay, but
such a romantic thing.
What happened before the Big Bang?
Right. So
maybe there's no before, right? Maybe there's no.
How does nothing come from
Right.
something? I know that's hard to conceptualize,
Right.
with our fucking ape-sized brain, but
as far as we can tell, at least from a mathematical perspective, even nothingness, like the null set, can even a empty vacuum can quantum tunnel out of that vacuum into a state. So even nothingness can quantum tunnel out of nothing.
But why is there a vacuum? Why is that? That is the hardest thing
Right.
for me to wrap my brain around. Is like,
Yeah.
why, right? And I think we all ask that,
And I think one of the challenges of 20th century physics was sort of understanding this vacuum. And I think at first we thought, oh, there's nothing there, it's a vacuum. And as time went on, there was a realization that actually a vacuum is full of energy, basically. And quantum mechanics predicts 10 to the 100 joules of energy per like cubic centimeter or something like that. But we just can't access that energy because it's our ground state for the vacuum. But
wait,
yeah.
Doesn't a vacuum imply that there's a room, there's space, there's at least 3 to 4 dimensions, and therefore there's something before?
So it's more like you could think of the vacuum as like a bunch of audio frequencies being generated, but they're all canceling each other out. The frequencies are still there. There's a lot of energy there. They're just canceling each other out. Thus, it's like a net zero, but not really.
Sorry, continue. Continue.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Is it hard for you? I mean, because obviously you're very knowledgeable in all of this. Is it hard for you to wrap your head around the before part? Like, people have talked about, the simulation, and I don't know. I kind of sometimes lean towards that, and we can get to that. But for you, at least for me, right? I can't wrap my head around like the before part. For you, does it make sense? Like you're like, yeah.
I guess the way that I think about it is that everything is made up of quantized space. Even the stuff we call atoms and particles really are space configured in a certain way in which the structure is maintained across time. And at this super zoomed out scale, we see particles, but ultimately it's all the same thing, and it's just space. It's basically quantum states in a kind of configuration. Stephen Wolfram has a model where he describes this as a graph.
Okay.
But it's kind of unsatisfactory for humans to hear that, hey, the universe is just a big graph.
Yeah. It's hard for me to kind of wrap my head around it. What I kind of said before is the simulation. Avi, do you know a lot about it? Both of you? You do? Yes.
Simulation hypothesis.
Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on it? You're a fan. I like that.
Simon?
I'm both I'm a fan.
I know Mr. Moon is probably much more believing in it or understands it better than I do. I'm very ambivalent about it because so far all the arguments I've heard, I'm still right in the middle actually. And also, it's this romantic idea that it could be true, and it's super fascinating, but doesn't help you that much on a practical level if tomorrow you get hit by a milk truck and you're crippled.
I got a.
So,
Right.
I have another one. Of those.
Unless your future self is running the simulation or isn't, then it could help you tremendously.
Roy's off the grid. I got a shorthand for this one too that comes from my brother, which was because in another universe I probably went hyper obsessive over things that I couldn't control, just because it's part of my personality to want to understand things, to control things, to So one time though, my brother said one very simple thing to me and it just stuck forever. He said, "It's like you're playing a board game and you're really fucking worried about the weather outside."
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm totally focusing on the wrong thing. I'm focusing on something that has no impact on my day-to-day life.
For sure.
And so that was where I dropped a lot of the overly obsessive focus on things outside of my control. Which, these things are really interesting and deep, very mind-stimulating conversations. But at the end of the day, I always end up dropping them just because I'm I gotta play the board game.
I mean, sometimes you have to. Mr. Moon or Simon, for the people listening, can you kind of just briefly explain simulation theory?
The simulation argument?
Yeah, theory, just kind of what it is.
Yeah, so there's a Oxford philosopher named Nick Bostrom, and I think in the early 2000s he came out with his simulation argument. And the basic argument, there's three premises. The first premise is in the future, intelligent civilizations run ancestor simulations of their past. The second statement is we are not in a simulation because future civilizations all choose not to run ancestor simulations. And then the third statement is we are most certainly in a computer simulation. And all of those things can't be true. So at least one of those statements needs to be true. And it's just a matter of which one. And so if you look at kind of our current trajectory, we both have the ability to make simulations of our ancestors, and we actively engage in that activity of generating simulations via movies. The History Channel will show you these battle scenes, these video games, etc. So seems like there's a decent possibility that we might be ancestor simulations of future humanity.
Can you explain why that is likely from a probability standpoint?
So depends on how you, I don't know that if anyone could do that, but so if the universe is expanding, it's also cooling. And there's, like you guys said, there's way more time in the future than in the past. There's hundreds of trillions of years that lie before us, but we've only transpired 16 billion up to now. And so if the universe keeps expanding, it's actually going to be extremely cheap to run ancestor simulations in the future. And there's going to be all the incentive to do it because most of the stars will die. There's not going to be light. It's going to be very boring and shitty outside simulations. And so you're going to be wanting to run very advanced simulations, and they're going to be very cheap. I think some estimates I've seen are like you could do trillions and trillions of all of humanity from the inception till now for like the energy cost of a 60-watt light bulb.
Oh my gosh.
Something like that. So
that's incredible. And so for you, where do you fall on that? Like your belief in it, or not?
I think that stuff all makes sense. However, when you look at theoretical physics and sort of the mechanics of how the cosmoses can even be generated through physics, it seems to me that there's probably more physical universes than simulated universes. And so I don't know that I would assign a super high likelihood to us being a simulation. I think there's maybe a higher likelihood that we're in an actual real physical universe.
No, I get that. What about you, Tyler?
The argument that made me really question it was the future probability one, which is if it's possible that we will eventually at some point do it, the likelihood is that we've already done it, because that probability is much larger than that this is what I think is called basement reality.
True. If someone makes the statement like, imagine you're in this room, right, and you can't see anything and it's all black, right, but you hear this wonderful music, and you recognize it as the Beatles.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're in this room and you hear this wonderful Beatles music. And if you ask the question, okay, is it more likely that the Beatles are in this room playing this music, or is it more likely that it's a recording that's playing back?
Right.
And more,
Since there's
very much more
endless
likely
numbers of recordings, it's the probability of that is so high.
Yeah.
But to have them physically be there and have basically have this be the first run through reality would be exceedingly rare.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure there is throughout, the past 40 years, there's been somebody that did find themselves in that situation, and they're like the rarity.
That's so funny. Okay, so when does all right? So we talked about the Big Bang, right? What about at like the end, like right? Because we're all moving farther and farther and farther apart.
It's probably the most like traumatic thought is the long goodbye. Let's dive in deep.
Yeah. So what exactly is the long goodbye?
Everything just keeps expanding and cooling, and eventually the last stars. It's really pessimistic and sad. the stars.
I don't think it's pessimistic.
Yeah, if you create simulations, that's actually awesome and like a huge playground because you can run them so cheaply. But in terms of the physical universe, if it even is physical, not a simulation, then it just drifts apart. Eventually, you can't see any stars. If you look at the sky, all the stars turn dark. It becomes very cold and dark. But it could also just be an amazing playground with trillions of simulations where you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In the far future, we won't know that there are other galaxies. You'll look out, and you won't see a single
Just
galaxy
black.
out there.
And you can actually never know, right? Because because of the expansion and the visible universe.
Right.
It's too far.
Once they go beyond the cosmic horizon, so to speak, it's the same as if they fell into a black hole. It's just faster than the speed of light. You can't. There's nothing you can do.
Can anyone survive that? I mean, do you think there'll be people around or AI?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do think
people,
that.
Not necessarily people, but
Yeah.
if we turn into like pure information or whatever the future version of that is, then yeah, totally.
I think that'll be the golden era of intelligence. Actually, will be the post-stellar phase of the universe after all the stars die. I think.
Optimism.
Yeah, but
I think that'll be the golden age of computation.
will there be like all of us talking right now? Will that even be a thing? Like, are we just one?
Yeah,
or
it will be, but it'll be a fucking simulation.
just whatever you want it to be? That's just really hard for me to wrap my head around.
We had this conversation
Yeah.
in the backyard when coronavirus started,
I'm sure.
and we were just kind of like blown away with how weird it was.
Yeah.
And I think one of us had said it's almost like the simulation got just a little sideways.
Yeah.
And so maybe we're just a test. Maybe this is just, what happens in this simulation when you release a virus into a population? Like, do they survive?
Here's another perspective too, is when you're raising a child, right? When you're like a parent, if you think about raising a child and you give them everything that they want and they suffer through nothing and they know nothing about history, they just end up this like spoiled rich brat, right? So if you think about it in this far future with all these crazy AIs, if you just like start up a new mind without any kind of previous experience to what this, the universe has transpired in terms of that civilization, they're going to be a fucking dick AI god in the future. So these simulations might exist as a kind of like nursery of sorts for these minds to know what it's like to feel embodiment, to feel, to go through all this trials and tribulations of intelligence, and that maybe that their own civilization went through, so that when they finally do wake up in this like super singularity black hole intelligence future, where all the stars are dead, that they're like, oh my God, like, okay, I get my place in this, and I understand my heritage, sort of thing.
A great fictional short story to listen to is The Egg by Andy Weir.
Okay.
And that'll give you an insight to that possibility.
The Egg by Andy Weir. What is it about?
What he
What
just
exactly? Oh,
basically-
exactly what you just said.
He's Mr. Moon said it in a much more articulated way, where the egg talks about it in more of a thematic way, like gives you a story to understand it. But that was actually a lot said in a much smarter way.
Damn,
Andy
that's
Weir's the guy that
incredible.
wrote the Martian.
Okay, yeah.
And
Does it strike you guys a little bit though as almost like a new kind of religion, where it's this comforting feeling? Either there's aliens who control everything and watch over us and prevent us from having nukes, or it's a simulation and an all-knowing, all-powerful future version of us got us covered. So that's why I'm a little bit skeptical about it, because it does feel like this very comforting father figure kind of religious thing.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I definitely get that.
And unless the simulators come down and say like, hey, this is what's happening, it's kind of impossible to prove one way or another.
Yeah, you definitely never could know one way or another. I mean, maybe someone someday can, but definitely not me. I know that's for a fact. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just thinking that, I mean, at some point you got to exit the simulation if it is a simulation.
Yeah, but how would you even exit the simulation?
Supposing
why would you need to exit, Tyler? How come? Well,
I'm actually technically referring to death, but I mean, I suppose that there are two possibilities of simulations, which is this is an ancient civilization simulation that we're experiencing, so that when we go back, if our conscious actual mind is there in the future, that we are like an evolved understanding entity. But the other possibility is that we're just an assuming conscious. We're just data, and we just assume that that I'm real and that I exist. When I could just be part of a simulation being played out, or almost like a war game, where there's a billion simulations being run by future computers that are at war, and they're just trying to figure things out. And so we're just data in those simulations. So I guess I'd have to decide which of those two is real to answer your question of exiting. Because exiting one is someone pulls the plug and you stop being data. And exiting two is you wake up in the future entity with the consciousness.
I guess it's like the difference
expanded.
between if you play a game and you just reload it or quit it, or if you're actually in a super futuristic VR where you are actually in the simulation.
That would be hilarious. You die and it's like you're taking off the helmet. You're like, oh man, that was fun.
Where's my wife?
Did you guys see?
Only an hour has gone by.
Did you guys see Ready Player One?
Yeah.
No.
You didn't see it, right? There's definitely something to say about that. I don't know how much you guys have used like the Oculus Rift, but they are for now. I consider it like the Atari. In 20, 30 years from now, when VR is at the level of like a PS5 for today's standards, what is to say that a lot of people just don't stay in that. Or staying as much as they can.
Just one comment before. There was a cold Boston night where Simon and I slaughtered probably 60 or 70 teenagers in some VR game. So we're familiar. And Mr. Moon is actually like so much further down the VR rabbit hole in the work that he's done.
Not so much anymore, actually. But for 2015 through 2017 or 18, I was working closely with a movie studio and a lot of like VR content and doing... We were actually some of the first people to get our hands on the HTC Vive, and we had all the early Oculus like builds and stuff like that. It was really fascinating.
My first day of using VR, I went to his the place where he was working and tried I think all of them until I tried the one that was whatever that spaceship was, and I was like, all right, I'm sick.
You did Space Pirate Trainer, I think. You loved that so much.
Yes, and
Space
that's what
Pirate Trainer.
I ended up having that in Boston. But the one that got me sick in a second was the one where I think it's an MMORPG on another platform, but it's where you basically sit in the spaceship and you look around. It was so bad.
Have you ever done? It's just. What were you gonna say?
I get motion sickness, so I don't use VR very much.
Have you ever, guys? It's just like a simple little game. You go in, you press the elevator, you go up, it opens up, and then you walk out on this plank, and then. You look down and it looks like it's 3,000 feet.
It's so brutal.
It's like so scary.
Richie's plank experience.
Yeah. My buddy and I set up an actual like wood plank, and it's you are so fucking scared.
Yeah.
It blows.
It's close enough where it messes with your brain and convinces you that you could actually fall.
Yeah, and you're at like some bad. For sure.
If you do an edible before that, you'll have a.
No, I've done it on mushrooms, and that is next level, my friend.
What's VR on mushrooms like? I'm actually curious to know.
It is one of the most amazing experiences. Not like on mushrooms in general, but playing video games or watching a movie. So that type of experience. I've had a lot of amazing experiences, life-changing experiences on psilocybin, LSD, and DMT.
Yeah.
But as far as playing video games, mushrooms, Oculus Rift, I played this one. It wasn't even like much of a game, but you are this little robot, and you're like a kid's toy. And like the first scene is like the kid opening up the toy, and you're the robot, so you're like looking out at it. And the whole experience is of the kid, being a kid and then getting older, and then the robot, getting handed off, and you just. For me, it just felt so fucking real. I sat down on the ground, so I was like as small as the robot, and I just had this whole, I don't know, it's kind of like a connection. It was like the weirdest fucking thing, and that's what stands out most on mushrooms in VR.
It's really visceral. The VR experiences I felt, it's like, whoa, like you'll even dream about it and be like, in your dreams, you'll feel like you're actually there.
Exactly. Even to this day, when I talk about it, I can close my eyes and vividly see all of it. So it's definitely a surreal experience.
Yeah. Google Brush was that for me. It like blew my mind the first time I used Google Brush.
Whoa. Incredible.
Where do you see this all going though? Like, where does VR go for? Mr. Moon, did you say you saw Ready Player One, or was it Simon?
I saw it, and it was required reading at the place of my work.
Okay.
Because that was the future they were trying to build.
Yeah.
So day one was like read Ready Player One.
Did you watch the movie by Steven Spielberg?
I did.
Yeah. Do you think that's what it's going to be like?
It seems like it's turning into a real platform, and I'm curious to see where it goes. Yeah.
I think the stages for sure.
I think that's a plausible.
Better, and it's going to look better, and it's going to sound better, but that's just stage one. Then the next stage after that is that you actually start replacing real world stuff like commuting to work, going to see the Eiffel Tower. Why do you have to fly 6 to 12 hours to do that? And then eventually it's going to probably become a tool where everybody can create easily, maybe just with their mind. And then it's going to become really weird. Then it's going to be really futuristic, most likely.
Do you think that the paths that evolve are like VR or Neuralink, or do you think that do they get to evolve in tandem?
In tandem, and then something like Neuralink takes over.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
It disintermediates VR altogether. So.
It is interesting
but that's
how
gonna take time.
It feels like VR isn't going to make it.
Because why do I need a screen and headphones if I'm stimulating the brain cells directly that are responsible for seeing and hearing?
So you'll be able to do, essentially you'll be able to have, a Neuralink installed, and you could do everything that VR does. If you want to go to the Eiffel Tower, if you want to play a game.
Completely can hijack your optics. Everything. So your feelings, it's your brain. So what you think is your eyes viewing, it's your brain. The brain's doing the work. So if you can hack that, I probably shouldn't use the word hack, but if you can put levers and dials on the brain, the level of control will just get more and more exact over time to where you can just totally change.
Do you really believe that it will be in your and my lifetime?
Because of who's working on it, yeah. If it was just some company, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
But because he is
and there's been interesting experiments on being able to do this without invasion,
right?
With non-invasive ways of both writing to and reading from the brain, and that's kind of what I would like to see. Because when you're talking about the Neuralink implant, you do have to cut into bone, so that's kind of an issue. And you do have to stick electrodes into your brain, so you are displacing brain tissue, basically. So if we could somehow get that to be non-invasive, I would be, all about it.
I do think, Mr. Moon, that from the last thing I've read, I don't know if this is true, but I do think they're working on something that you get injected almost like an IV, and it makes its way up. It could be on your neck or something like closer, but it essentially goes through your blood vessels, so it's less invasive and makes its way up.
Yeah, I just feel too many people are going to have issue with cutting a little hole in your skull.
Drilling
it just,
bone,
it's a really hard sell for so many people. And if it looks like there's any option in the near future, I think most would just say, I'll take a pass on this first one. Unless the results of the people are outrageously good, or you have some sort of neurology that is causing a major problem. That you need to get fixed. Then
you might be able to do this non-invasively through the use of ultrasound pulses, basically like targeted ultrasound pulses, and then doing many of these pulses at a time, and then you'd stimulate the right cells to give you the effect that you're seeing the Eiffel Tower, or maybe feeling the wind on your body.
That is so.
That's gonna be wild.
That is
That'll be a
gonna
while.
be. Yeah.
And also, why stop at the Eiffel Tower? Like it's way too boring. Like
Yeah.
why can't you travel
Yeah.
through space at the speed of
Once
light
it goes-
and create your own stuff?
Yeah.
That's still too boring for the masses. This is going to be a porn
It's so.
device. Let's be honest here.
It's definitely gonna be porn.
Yeah.
That's probably.
Yeah, it'll be weird.
It's like the most realistic porn ever. That might be an
guys-
issue. You know,
have you
how are
guys
birth
seen,
rates affected by
Oh.
super realistic?
That
VR
would
porn?
be huge, right? If you could have this installed, right, in a non-invasive way, and be able to kind of just sleep with whoever you want, you know, Pornhub Neuralink or whatever the fuck they're gonna call it, right? Yeah, birth rates would definitely plummet.
Birth rates are already
Right.
plummeting so much that this would just be the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
It's almost like we would need to have some alternative way of procreating. Really wish Mitchell was here for this conversation, or somebody that didn't agree with the four of us.
Yes.
I don't think
Dude,
we
it
could-
would be like it would honestly be like a combination of like Tinder and like Pornhub
Yes.
at
Yes.
the same time. And because there's no like bodies involved, like who knows how weird
Yeah,
that
It's
whole
gonna
thing is
get
going to get.
weird.
weird.
It might be very disturbing to us now, seeing what's going on then.
Yeah, definitely.
Just wait until everybody's connected with telepathy, so you have to watch what everybody's watching at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
yes.
Hey, check this
Give me a
out,
filter.
guys. Oh man,
No bullshit filter. No lies. You could read what everyone's saying.
or the opposite.
Tap into the Elon Musk feed, and you can just have the Elon Musk lifestyle. Maybe that's not a lifestyle you want. It's a lot of business meetings, probably.
Probably
But
pretty boring.
insert famous celebrity name.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The only thing that, I mean, I am a huge fan of Elon Musk. Huge fan of Elon Musk. I just wish he would take better care of himself. It's the only thing I got to say. Like, when he was just on Rogan recently, he was kind of talking about that. Because I want that dude to live a long fucking time. But there's nothing negative I could say about him because he's really changing and shaping,
And
what the
you know
future's
what?
like.
I've been thinking about that lately, and I think like oftentimes like extreme people who have by definition deficiencies in other areas, then because they're so extreme in some other area, are needed to do this kind of thing. You need the very eccentric, the very first principle thinking, the very weird. Oftentimes, like it's not going to be the completely average person at every lever that isn't Elon Musk. That doesn't make any sense.
It's a bigger statement too, as far as accepting people, not just because it's the right thing to do, but it's actually beneficial to have differences. It's actually
Yes.
incredibly important that we be different and have different opinions. There was a saying that I think I brought up last time, which was, I mean, if everybody agreed on doing something, we would all just run off the side of a cliff and high five, and we would never see that there was another option.
Yeah.
It's got to be someone saying, no, this is much better over here. But that's the weirdo often. And there's the wisdom of the outcast that is worth considering from time to time, someone who's not thinking like everybody else. Because some people will listen to this podcast and be like, what the fuck are these
Of
wackos
course.
talking
Yeah,
about?
absolutely.
But at the same time, we're wandering these weird paths, and we may find something of use for everybody in that wandering. But then it's, that's obviously then its own endeavor for that to have the mindset to then make it, a viable thing for other people.
Isn't that what social media though is doing? Because it's giving you what you like and what you want, and it's creating, these fucking pockets, man. That you only see what you like, you only see what you want.
Simon, I'm curious what you think about this because you have an upcoming life change where you have to be really considerate of what technology is being used and how. How do you think of somebody coming into the world and not having, because we all had a basis of operation that we had for the majority of our lives before we really started to get social media and this technology.
Yeah.
How do you think of it in terms of starting from zero and having a cell phone in your face?
It feels to me like right now, and what Tyler's talking about is like an upcoming birth of
Congratulations.
Thanks, yeah.
Seriously, man.
And it's a tricky question, but to me right now, 2020, it feels almost exactly the same as the 90s still, because at the end of the day, I can take my iPhone, it's turned off right now, and I'm talking to you, well, I'm talking to you guys online, but I can just talk to a friend. I'm not plugged in 24/7. I have something in my brain. I think once that switch happens, it's a completely different situation, completely different world. And that's going to happen inevitably. I think like kids who are maybe born like 20, 30, 40 years from now, they have to get that stuff in elementary school to even compete, to even keep up with what's happening.
It's interesting.
It's gonna happen.
The ones that I'm most worried about now is basically, I'm going to guess that it's somewhere in the range of probably 13 to like 25.
Yeah.
Because they're stuck in between the two zones. And they're even stuck in a place before we even had the rationale to say there may be a problem.
And we probably don't understand the problems yet. Like when I was a kid, I didn't even have TV for like the longest time. Like I hated it when I was a kid that I didn't have TV and felt different. Yeah. But in hindsight, it was actually probably really good that sometimes I was just really bored, sitting outside with a stick.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Being an ape, in the garden.
I was just thinking of this, where when I was younger, I had a place that I would go, and the place was where these two creeks merged together, and it was like this magical place that I also wasn't allowed to go there. I was told to not go there, but it felt like there was the mystery of why is this place off limits to me, and then it was so different than every place else. But then I realized that that's probably a really unique experience for someone now to have. Like how many kids nowadays have a place where they go that's in nature that is mysterious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you can engineer that, I think, and that's at least how I want to do it for my taste with my kids, is to find a good balance. I definitely want them to be technologically advanced and learn programming and all that kind of stuff. I think it's super important. But at the same time, I also want them to have these amazing offline experiences where they just build a fire or look through a telescope or just stay bored, swimming through a lake or something like that. I think it's super.
Take them out into the forest.
Yes.
When they're 5 or 6, leave them in the forest.
Yeah.
They find their way home.
Rip the Neuralink out.
If you make it back, you can get your Neuralink back.
Yes. But there really is something to say, because our generation, especially the four of us, we were born without it, right? And now we have it, right? But future generations, 13, 25, but especially in 2020, 2030, the kids born, your kid coming, like this is all they're going to know.
That's so addictive too.
It is so addictive.
Like just that little bing, 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 like that little hormone hit you get every time,
It's worth noting that Steve Jobs didn't let his kids use an iPad or an iPhone until they were I think in their teens.
Get all that initial programming development out of the way before you start fucking with this screen.
Yeah.
Even now,
I think he just made them read books or something like that, I believe.
Yeah.
It was just like, here's a book. I don't know.
Probably the way to go. At least the first couple of years, at least 6, maybe 9 years. But it's tough. Like we're saying that now with iPads and laptops and iPhones. But imagine if everybody has whatever the Neuralink of the time is, and you actually needed to even go to school or do anything to cross the street to drive the self-driving
That's a tough
Tesla
one.
to give it instructions.
I was lucky that I was in a foreign country. I didn't know really the language, and I was given a library card, and just like Simon, we didn't really have much TV going on, and the only entertainment I had was a library, basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but how much does that play into who you are, as a human being today, right? I mean,
look behind him.
Exactly.
I think I would have gravitated towards that regardless. Yeah, you have a good point. I think my trajectory was really much to be like a hyper nerd from the beginning. So yeah.
When you were younger, did you get picked on because of that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I was definitely I was coming from a kind of a poor Latin American country to America, so I was younger than most of my peers, because in South America you just go to school sooner, and my diet was different. I was smaller, I was skinnier, so there were many reasons to pick on me. So yeah.
Okay.
There's a decent amount of bullying that
I got
happened.
a theory. I was picked on a lot for my physical attractiveness. People didn't like me to be.
Of course.
Shut the fuck up.
That's what I meant. Oh yeah,
seriously,
I'm so beautiful. That's why I was getting picked on.
I was picked on too. It was. I mean, to different degrees, it was pretty uncomfortable from time to time. Simon, did you have a similar experience?
Yeah, I was hardcore bullied. And I actually did some bullying before that, so I had it coming, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I guess in America would be middle school. I went through some really crazy stuff. But I hated it at the time, obviously. But in hindsight, I think Tyler agrees with me. We talked about this before. It actually seemed good for my development and becoming an independent thinker away from everybody else.
I think that's the magic that comes from it is being pushed to the outside. You actually become comfortable, and so you're like, okay, well, I'm not really accepted anyways. So why don't I figure out what's out here in the wilderness and just kind of wander around and find, again, it's not comfortable until much later than it's probably much more comfortable than trying to always fit in.
Definitely. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. I mean,
Were you picked on?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was up until about 10 or 11, I had a ponytail. My dad looked like fucking Steven Seagal, but when you're 10 or 11 with a ponytail, you get, instead of Brock, you get called Broccolina, and, and sucker punched and shit like that. But it made me a stronger person. It made me stand up for myself. It made me, it was shitty, man.
So you had the ponytail. My dad was into leather pants. And so I, as a 9-10-year-old, would be going to school with leather pants.
Yeah, you got me beat, bro. You got me beat.
I had a rat tail for a long time. I didn't get picked on when I had the rat tail, though.
Yeah, but I had a full-on ponytail. So I got made fun of a lot.
That's bad. That's really bad, actually.
No, it is. I look at myself. Ponytail, buck teeth. Yeah, but by the time I was like 13 or 14, I definitely started sticking up for myself. And then I was the type of person that, I have friends or saw someone that get picked on, and I would step in. I would say, fuck that. Because I had this huge growth spurt. I was still like tall and lanky, but I had this like, I don't give a fuck attitude.
There weren't too many people bigger than you.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really important. I talk about this all the time. And a lot of people disagree with me, but being a boy, a young man, I think it's important to get punched in the face one time, because it makes you a stronger person. If you never get hit, if you never get picked on, if you never get, shit thrown at you, when you become an adult, you're going to look at life, you're going to take situations completely different. It creates a shell. So
you guys
that's probably something to be said about Tyler, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, go ahead. I have a different thought.
No, I was just saying, like, I think the school environment, and I can't judge the US, obviously being from a different country, but it's probably pretty artificially fair and peaceful and easy. Compared to like the reality when you become an adult in lots of different ways. Yeah. So maybe it's like a natural antidote for that, and the alternative should probably be being a little bit picked on, and maybe some apprenticeships and like getting out in the real world as part of the school.
Right
that
there.
would probably be the ideal.
It's so important.
Two conversations. Did you guys break bones when you were younger?
Oh fuck yeah,
yes.
Dude! Absolutely.
Twice. When I was 5, and then when I was 10, which was during the leather pant phase. And then funny enough. When I broke my arm the second time, they took me to the hospital. This is horrible. Oh my God, that was so painful. But anyway, eventually I got my cast on. The person that put my cast on was colorblind. So when they asked me, what color cast do you want? And I said red, she just took a hot pink, like the most girliest one. And in my mind, I'm thinking it's going to switch color or something. I don't know. Like, 'cause I clearly said red.
As she's put it on, you're like,
it's gonna
something's not right
switch
here.
color.
And then, so once it was on, and
there we go. Yeah.
What a
More
shitty
bullying.
doctor.
Yes.
She's got to know.
Yeah, terrible.
She's got to know.
Terrible. It's probably a nurse, right? But yeah, for me, collarbone, arm, ankle, leg. Yeah.
Two wrists at the same time.
Yeah. Wrist, thumb, nose. Yeah, I've broken a lot. So
I would find the tallest thing I could climb and jump around, or I was always jumping over stuff. Like I felt like I invented parkour.
That's so funny.
I was really into skateboarding as well.
Me too. That's
and
where
surfing.
And
surfing. Just growing up in Southern California.
Rollerblade, dude. That was the shit back in the day.
Seriously?
Oh my gosh,
no.
Are you serious? In the
Part of the reason I
early
got picked
90s
on.
and shit, rollerblade, at least out here for sure. Really? Like grinding and like street style rollerblading for sure. Not too much anymore.
No.
I just had Heelys.
Yes, yeah.
Heelys.
Dude, I saw. All right, so I had a friend who was really good at Heelys. I mean, he would grind every 15 stair handrail in front of him, and there was like this 15 or 16 stair right in front of our high school, and every like lunch we'd go out there and he would do it, and it was just fucking awesome to see, like run up on a pair of shoes, grind down it, no problem. But this one time he overcalculated, and the dude literally, when he was on the ground and I saw him, his leg was this way and his ankle and foot was this way, bone popping out. It was fucking terrible. Yeah, just disgusting.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
You don't
about it,
recover.
but
You don't
Heelys,
recover
yeah.
fully from that.
No.
Nah.
Simon, you break a bone?
No, I had all kinds of other replacement parts. I had like a bunch of. I one time swung between like a bunch of stuff and fell really far, and I still have a little scar on my chin.
Okay.
Appendix out and all that kind of stuff. And my ankle. I think I told you, like I've flipped my ankle like so many times in my life. My right ankle. That's like a weak part. I can't wait for Elon to come up with a better exoskeleton.
Yeah.
I would love to figure out. I would love to see that data, the number of bone breaks for people of a certain age, and if it's declining rapidly over time. Because I mean, the way that we lived before versus the way that things are now, I have to imagine that bone breaks are rapidly decreasing in childhood, which I think is a again a huge detriment.
During 2020, there were less child fate deaths than last year. So.
And that'll continue, right? We would
But
think.
that's just a general thing. Like that's. Just
I think it's just from people staying in.
Right?
Okay.
No, I think it's just from the people staying in from COVID.
Oh, right.
The kids weren't in school, so they couldn't, break their neck on the playground.
I hope they don't break their neck. Holy shit.
That's where I broke my arm was at school, and they called an ambulance and they put me on a gurney, at the recess area, and the whole school came out and they all were just looking at me, and then I could hear people asking are you gonna die? Are you gonna be okay?
Yeah, I remember the looks too. I split my head open one time on the playground, and I was just pouring blood and walking through a crowd of people, and the looks on their faces. I was like, "Oh, this must be bad." And the other time was when I busted both of my wrists in the same year. Did a backflip out of a swing, caught myself on my hands instead of my feet, busted both of my wrists, and I remember walking towards the teacher. And at that age, when you see an adult freak out, you're like, man, I'm fucked up, aren't I?
Yeah. Oh my
She's like,
gosh.
my God, what have you done?
Oh my God. Talking about breaking wrists. 2 weekends ago, I was in Carpinteria, and we were doing cliff diving and all the shit. But our friend, he kept on doing backflips, but where we were doing it, you have to jump out 6 or 7 feet. So it just was not smart of him to do this. And we ended up getting a little tipsy. I have the video. I'll show you after.
Combination.
Dude, it was terrible. So he goes to do a backflip and he fucking slips. And mind you, the water is 4 or 5 feet deep. So I was jumping out, but I was kind of going like this. No.
You're jumping into water that is 4 or 5 feet.
Yeah,
deep.
it was only 10 feet. So when you jump, you go like this. It was 5 feet, dude. You got to go like
That
this.
math doesn't work out at all.
Dude.
No. It works because when you hit the water, instead of going down, you go like this. And he was really good at it, but not this time. Dude,
Please continue the story. Let's see how good he is.
I literally turn around. The next thing I notice is he's in the water, and just everyone on the fucking beach is looking at, are you okay? Are you okay? Come to find out, he slipped. He fucking broke his sacrum, so his freaking lower back, shattered his wrist, and he should have went to the hospital, right? But he stayed the night because you either get airlifted out or you have to wait till the next day because we were on the backside of Catalina, and thank God he was okay, but he was in the hospital for 3 days. Come to find out, I never saw what happened, right? I never saw it. It just happened so fucking fast. But someone recorded it, posted it on this popular Instagram account for people slipping and doing stupid shit. And then it got sent to his friend, which then got sent to him. And now I have it on my phone.
Now he's famous.
Oh,
and
God.
now you need to send it to us.
I will, 100%.
You need to upload that to his GoFundMe.
I'm 50% sure. I'm 50% sure I've seen this video.
Dude, if we weren't on our computer right now, Daniel, my producer, would have it up on the screen and would be sharing right now. But
if it got posted on the subreddit, what could possibly go wrong?
I'll send it
I've
to you.
seen it.
You decide to do what you will with it. Holy shit, man!
But it's making its rounds right now.
Yeah, no, it's fucking crazy, man.
Brutal, but hey, at least there's something positive that came out.
Yeah. Well, at least I got to see it. That's all I care about.
There's a story.
I know there's definitely a story.
There's a story, and then when he exits the simulation, he's gonna be like, guys.
Yes. Well, I mean, the dude's like 32 years old, so he's gonna be fucked. Like when you get older, like things take longer, and so I do feel bad for him. And the fucked up thing is a year prior, I've never heard of this before, but he was riding his bike. And he was going downhill, maybe like 25, 30 miles per hour. And a lady allegedly ran a stop sign. So he did too. And with his bicycle, he totaled the lady's car. He flew up. No.
Wow.
I'm not making this up, dude. I'm not making this up at all. He... Fuck, I forgot what happened to him. But it wasn't like terrible. He was in the hospital for like a day or two. But he literally 15 minutes before he shattered his wrist and broke his sacrum, he was telling me the story because he had to get like surgery or something like on his shoulder. And then he does this. His wife was fucking pissed, bro. He does construction. I get it. But I feel really bad for
and he's married and he does construction.
Yeah.
That could really fuck up your whole job situation.
Yeah, definitely.
I could imagine.
Yeah, that's why it's be smart, especially as
Drop
an
a link
adult.
to his GoFundMe.
I will. He doesn't have a GoFundMe. I don't think he does. If he does, I will for sure. Holy
I avoid
shit.
unnecessary risks like that now.
4 feet of water is safe is the takeaway, right?
Yeah. No, but he hit the rocks, dude. I'll share the video with you guys. I'll definitely share. He won't care. He understands.
Yeah. You definitely need spotters when you're doing any kind of cliff diving to make sure that if anything goes wrong, you land weird. That you have someone to rescue and pull you out of the water. Because if you land like on your chest from a high enough altitude, it'll just explode all the capillaries. You'll just like be coughing up blood.
That sounds terrible, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how high you have to be, but I'm definitely not doing that.
You know what you find out is the more you know, the less you do.
Yeah.
Because you're like, there's 17 ways this could go terribly, terribly wrong. But
yeah,
it's a lot more fun if you actually don't know.
Imagine being me and doing like 5 grams of mushrooms one time.
Yes, my friend. How was that?
Very scary.
But good.
Yeah.
Good scary, right?
I think I traveled to the other universe and met myself and hung out, and then I came back.
Yeah. No, there's something very unique about psychedelics that if done correctly, it can assist with a lot of things. And I don't want to be like a broken record, but for me, it's saved my marriage, saved me from suicide, allowed me to quit smoking cigarettes. The list goes on. Created relationships. Like it literally.
Have you heard of mindbloom.co, I think?
No.
Are you familiar with that?
Mindbloom.co.
Mr. Moon?
I'm familiar because you sent it to me.
Yeah. It's apparently one of the first, if not the first, places where you can actually go have a psychedelic experience.
Yes.
I've always wanted a space like that.
Yes.
That sounds like a brilliant idea.
Yes.
It's not mushrooms, though. I think it's kratom.
Kratom.
I believe.
Yeah. Kratom, huh?
It's not.
I thought
DMT.
Huh. I didn't realize kratom was that strong psychoactively. I knew it had psychoactive effects.
Shit tastes gross.
I looked at their website. I think they prescribe it for off-label use. It's essentially a psychedelic, but it's not the ones you guys talk about.
Well,
I've never consumed it. I have no idea.
It tastes nasty. It's fucking gross, and you got to do a lot of it to even feel anything. But I mean, I think there's different experiences for a lot of things. But I know that there's this shaman in LA. I don't have their information. I could get it, but they'll take you through an ayahuasca experience.
I was a little scared of ayahuasca because of the whole purging, throwing up thing.
Yeah,
I've done fan of that.
I've done DMT, and it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. And like I said before, fuck it, I'm just gonna share it. When
you broke through, tell the story.
To be clear, Mind Bloom is actually ketamine.
Shit! I'm hearing a lot of great things about that if done correct. I mean, I've done.
That's very different from kratom.
Yes, it's different.
Are you still looking for podcast sponsors?
Yes.
That's very different.
Not yet.
It's legal, right? It's completely legal what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know if they would want me to share this, but I heard through the grapevine that it was $1,000 too for the experience.
Fuck.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm so down. I'm fucking down. We're gonna talk.
Live stream it.
Yes.
Live stream the whole thing.
Get one of those, like the GoPro that live streams.
Yes. No, there's a lot better one now. Hold on, let me grab it. This thing right here. It's called the Mevo. This thing is insane, man.
Played with these.
Yeah. It's called the. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's this bad boy right here. You can
That's awesome.
you can live stream to like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, like all of them at the same time. 1080p,
Whoa.
6 hours, full charge, so it like lasts for 6 hours. It's also got an SD card slot, so you can actually record it to the SD card. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do this podcast, but tomorrow's podcast with Alex Legend will be the very first live one. Yeah. That being said, I'll get to my experience. Sorry, Daniel. I know you've heard it a million times. I talk about it a lot. All right. That being said, so 2.5 years ago, I was flying out to my mom's house, and who lives in New Jersey at the time, and I just started throwing up uncontrollably on the plane ride. Long story short, when I got to my mom's house, I started like bleeding out. Like I went to the bathroom, started bleeding. I got rushed to the hospital. They started giving me blood transfusions. They eventually let me go after a couple of days. Then when I went to the pharmacy, I'm giving like a sped up version, right? And so then I got released. I went to go to the pharmacy. I fainted in the pharmacy. They then brought me to a really good hospital, which the first hospital should have never let me go. And I was there for about 4 or 5 days, ended up getting like really fucking sick. They couldn't stop the bleeding, got rushed to ICU.
What was it?
So the bleeding was from a medication I was taking, but they kept on giving it to me, so it kept on tearing the lining of my stomach. But what happened was I got sick in the hospital, like all the fluids. I got an infection, and I ended up having to be put on life support. And they brought my wife to like that back room, and I remember all of this happening, and I had made peace with myself. I honestly, like, I don't know if you guys have ever had this, but like, I honestly thought I was going to die. I made peace with it. I was okay. And long story short, I ended up making it out of it. Obviously, I'm here today. And the crazy fucking thing is the way that I got out of it wasn't by anything that the doctors did. It was by the sole fact that my wife knows I'm a big person who likes like surprises, but like ones that really mean a lot. Like my brother lives in Savannah. If she like flew him out here without me knowing, right, for my birthday, I'd fucking love that shit, right? So what happened was that she said, because she slept by my side the entire time, and she's like, I'm going to go to the hotel, which they had a hotel across the street. I'm going to go take a shower. Okay, that's fine. But I'm like trached, life support, like I couldn't breathe on my own, all this shit. And then about 3 hours later, my wife walks in, and it was my brother and my sister, and they surprised me. Obviously, my family's going to fly out, but at that time, I had no idea. But it just made me feel something. And at that fucking moment, I was like, fuck this, I'm not dying mentally, right? And a day and a half later, I got taken out of ICU, and I ended up making it out, right? But the hard thing is when I left the hospital, the very first thing I did was grab the grass, because I didn't, like, I just couldn't comprehend, like, when you truly feel like death is happening, right? And then you're alive, it's like the weirdest fucking thing. And it took me, and I'm a big person, like, in talking my feelings out, but I kept this inside. And I, about 3 months later, like fucking just a wreck. I was in New Orleans for some work, and I ended up having a Britney Spears moment. I had a couple drinks. I ended up shaving my head, shaved my eyebrows, shaved my fucking beard. Literally went fucking nuts, dude. And I just was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I'm fucking done. And the only thing that I was like, I've got to try at least something, because nothing is working. I ended up contacting my friend who had some DMT for me. I was never ready, but I was like, if the time is now, I'm going to fucking do it. And so when I flew back, a fucking wet seal, like bald, it was terrible, man. It was so bad. I had to buy like fake eyebrows. It was fucking stupid. That being said,
your whole face was a disguise.
Dude, it was
the costume
terrible.
shop.
Man, it was fucking terrible. That being said, I go to my friend's house, which was at, like, we went inside the studio that I would record in as a kid, and I took the first hit, the second, third, fourth hit. I just lay back, and instantly I had become the most scared I'd ever been, but the most at ease I'd ever been. And I felt like I was floating and I was naked. And I look up, and I remember looking up, and I see this face. And instantly, my father died when I was 17. And instantly, I was like, that is my dad. And so I started talking to him, and he started talking back to me. And I was like, Dad, I'm fucking done. I was like, I don't want to live anymore. I was like, I don't even know how to deal with this. And this is exactly this is kind of what he said. He said, Brock, it is not your time. He has said you have a lot more to live. And I shit you not, the moment I came out of that, right, it was like when he said that, it stopped. Like the DMT trip, everything fucking stopped. And the feeling of wanting to commit suicide, the sadness, all of that, gone. Instantly gone. And to this day now, I go to a therapist and all that shit, but for me, I don't know what I would have done if I didn't go through that experience. Who knows if I'd be here today. But the feeling of wanting to commit suicide, the feeling of just any of that shit, dude, gone.
There's something magical about psychedelics. Yeah, that have that ability to just like a sponge. It'll just absorb all that anxiety and negativity and let you at least come back to a baseline where you're like, oh, okay, let me like actually be able to like think with my rational, self. And I've had a very similar experience to you, so I can. That rings true.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. There's just something about it. It deflates the ego. And especially with DMT. That was my first time doing it. I've never done it since. I've
never actually done DMT myself.
You've done mushrooms or LSD, right? Well, obviously, it's like when you hit that
really crazy epic amounts of the former, not so much LSD.
Okay,
but by accident. Honestly, it was more like I had friends and we kind of didn't know what we were doing, and someone's like, "Here, let's eat like an eighth," and then suddenly it's like, "Here, eat a little bit more, eat a little bit more." Oh crap, we each ate 2/8 because we didn't think it. It'd been like 45 minutes and we're like, "Oh, we're not feeling anything. Let's eat another eighth."
Oh man.
And one of those like, oh, classic mistake kind of things.
Some of the best experience I've ever had,
I don't regret it. Yeah,
no,
I don't regret it.
No, man, not at all. When I was younger, I would do it, and I did not like it, except one trip that I'll share that fucking later.
You got any funny stories about a bad trip or a good trip?
Well, it's not even a bad, well, kind of. All right, so when I was 15, 16 years old, and I do not recommend this. I recommend being an adult. Doing this set and setting are so important with psychedelics.
Yeah.
All right, I just got to fucking say it. Fuck off.
But it's a funny story, right?
So
they're really not for everybody.
It's funny and heartwarming at the same time. All right, so not depressing like the last one. So I must have been like 16, 17 years old. My friend and I both had gotten some LSD on a piece of gum the week before, right? And so we planned this, this experience. I was friends with my wife. Alyssa was there. I was just friends with her at the time. So my friend picks me up. The whole plan was to eat it at her house and then meet up, right? So I meet up with him and he goes, did you eat some of the gum? And I'm like, what are you talking about, some of the gum? He goes, the gum had little slits in it and they were just individual doses. He goes, there's 7 doses on it. And I was like, nah, dude, I ate the whole fucking piece. And he just starts laughing at me. He goes, no, bro, you're supposed to eat one of the fucking pieces. He goes, well, you're in for it, right? And instantly I was so scared, dude. I was so fucking scared.
I would be shitting myself.
So I go to my friends. We go to like this house that we were going to hang out and trip at, right? And all of a sudden, like the LSD starts kicking in and then getting stronger. And when the visuals fucking peaked when I was in there, the fucking roof on the house blew open and I could see all the stars, but then intergalactic spaceship fucking like firefights were going on, and I'm like freaking out. I'm screaming, and everyone's like, Brock, you gotta calm the fuck down. And then eventually like we end up leaving, and I thought they were like running after me, and so I'm like fucking running, having to like hop fences and like freaking the fuck out. And everyone's like, Brock, calm the fuck down. Nothing is going on. And like, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that there's this like war going on between like these space race aliens, and they're at the same time they're fucking after me, like they're the cops. And I remember pleading to my friend who's my wife at the time, like, you have to take me home. My dad is the only one who can save me. And they're like, are you fucking kidding me? You're tripping balls on acid, right? They're like, no. And I'm like, you have to. I'm like crying, right? And in my head, I'm like, the only person that can save me is my dad. And then eventually I convinced them, and bless my fucking wife now, who was my friend. She's the one that has to walk me up. And so I'm like, as soon as we pull up, I run to the fucking door, and I'm like banging on the door. It's like 2 a.m., right? I'm supposed to stay the night at a friend's house. And my dad, like 6'6", fucking opens the door, and he goes, fuck is going on? And I run past him and curl up on in a little ball, like near the couch. And my wife, who was my friend at the time, like they start having a conversation. I don't know what the fuck they had, what they talked about. But then my dad closed the door, and he comes, sits down, and he puts his hand on my head, and then instantly I started feeling better. And he goes, what's going on? He called me Zoidical. He goes, what's going on, Zoidical? And I was like, Dad, I'm so sorry. I took a lot of acid. I'm tripping fucking balls right now. And most parents would be freaking the fuck out right now, right? But he goes, it's okay. It's okay. I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to tell Mom to go sleep in your bed. And I was like, Dad, you cannot leave me. And he's like, Brock, it's okay. He goes upstairs, gets my mom into the room, right? And so we go upstairs, and we lay in bed. And I shit you not, from like 2 a.m. till 6 a.m, right? I'm sitting there explaining to my dad what I'm seeing. Now I'm seeing a miniature-sized battleship fucking going on his ceiling, right? But it's like really fucking cool. And then like every time like something black would come on the on the TV, I would just yell black, or like something white on the TV, white, and he just starts laughing the entire time, right? And then I would get up and I'd go, I have to check on Mom. I have to check on Mom. He goes, Brock, Mom's okay. And I'd run into my fucking room, and my mom and sister were there, and their fucking face is like melting off, like fucking just a fucking disgustingness. And so I run back in, and he's just laughing his fucking ass off, right? And so like this was single-handedly the best experience I ever had with my dad. And so then like the trip starts wearing off, right? And the next morning I pass out. I fucking wake up, and my dad is standing right above me, screaming at me, fucking just so mad, grounded my ass for 2 months. But I was like, fuck it, man. I was like, I get it. I get it. But he was cool enough to understand. And I know he had fun too, right? But like my dad was just kind of like the Punisher, had to lay down the fucking law. But he knew that wouldn't have helped.
Yeah, but he told all of his buddies about it.
Oh my fucking God. Yes, obviously, dude. So, yeah, that's what fucking happened. That shit was crazy, dude. That was fucking crazy.
I can't even fathom having to like deal with my parents on that much LSD.
No.
That's just...
No, it was a lot.
I mean, it's hard to navigate an elevator.
Yeah.
On two hits. Navigating a parental discussion on 7? No, dude, that's not happening.
So true, man. Yeah, dude, that was nuts. I think the reason that that I felt comfortable was about 2 years prior, I was at a punk rock show, and someone gave my friend and I like a cigarette. Or a joint, I don't like one of them, right? And we smoked it, and I started tripping the fuck out. I thought the devil was talking. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Lo and behold, it was PCP, and my friend, dude, yeah. it was just, I don't even know why anyone would fucking do that. It's just disgusting. And my girlfriend at the time's mother took me home, and instead of my dad freaking out on me, he did the next morning, but he just like kind of relaxed me and made me feel better. So I think somewhere inside my brain, I'm like, my dad's going to ground the shit out of me, but I can't deal with this right now. So I look at it as an adult now. Yeah, I was grounded for 2 fucking months, but I looked at it as a positive. And my dad was the type of person that if he grounded me, if I had a girlfriend or a really close girlfriend, he would allow them to come over. So it was totally chill. But yeah, that's just some crazy shit. I got a lot more stories, but fuck it.
That's wild.
That sounds like a good, that's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy. Whoa. Like,
Yeah.
Mind-boggling.
Yeah, definitely. I think anyone listening, being a parent, if their kid comes to you in any of these types of altered states, it is like you just have to understand that if you start yelling and screaming, it's just going to make it worse. And it could be something that sticks with them forever. So be relaxed, be calm, guide them through it. And then the next day, do your punishment, right? But
because the emotional state that you're in during a psychedelic experience is so vulnerable. It is. It's so delicate. It's a very delicate mental state that you're in, and that's amazing that your dad like had that kind of intelligence to be like, oh, I'll yell at him tomorrow. Right now, it's probably not the time.
Awesome. Very, very strange, but it makes sense. And that's why, although he passed when I was 17, it sticks with me to this day as single-handedly the most amazing experience I ever had with my dad. So, yeah, fuck it, man. Life is life. So, anything else as we kind of start to wind this shit down? Tyler?
I don't know if we could have what I would consider to be a non-complicated or, pardon this, but annoying conversation about cryptocurrency.
Ooh.
But we do, as between the four of us, know a lot about it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's possible because there's a small portion of people who've maintained interest.
Yeah, I mean, for me, still to this day, I invest on the regular every single fucking month.
Right, but it's not something I talk about. I mean, I don't do much.
Yeah, no.
Episode two.
Yeah.
Dive deep into the world.
Yeah, cryptocurrency and blockchain. Let's do that.
Cryptocurrency and blockchain.
That could be its own entire, because there's people who would be like, I've had enough of that.
For sure. But we can do one.
But there would be people who would be surprisingly, there's going to be another wave, and I think it's coming soon.
Yeah, I do not doubt that, especially everything that's going on with the American dollar and currencies around the world.
And general loss in confidence. I think there's a general loss in all authority. Everybody is distrusting everybody. Everybody is lying. All the politicians are lying. You can't trust anything anymore. And I think cryptocurrency plays really nicely into that. Become your own bank, decentralize it, disintermediate.
It's so important. It is so, especially with, like you said, with everything going on right now.
Yeah.
And I do not think it's, this isn't, investment advice or anything like that, but I do not think it's too late. But there is a wave that is coming. When that happens, 6 months, a year, 2 months, 3 years,
and this next wave might be way bigger because you have things like MicroStrategy, turning their whole cash reserves
I read that today.
Company.
They went from 250
that could trigger corporate FOMO alone.
When I heard that, I thought this is just some wild ass dude doing something silly because he was bored. But then when I watched the video of him explaining why, and then the rationale that he went through to figure out that it was the most rational thing to do if you're holding the large sum of cash that they were, I was like, wow, that's. And then he even says that this is a conversation that all boards should be having.
Yeah.
And he believes that he maybe just kicked the can to start the whole process or kicked the first domino. And now he believes that there's other conversations very rational conversations being had right now of how much of your liquid cash should.
I've had 2 conversations with companies that want to do that. And they've been, kind of reaching out and asking me what I thought about that MicroStrategy move. So it's interesting. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of companies that are taking notice. They're seeing that and they're like, hey, you know what? That's not a bad idea.
Absolutely.
Mr. Can you shorthand the logic as to why why holding that cash is a bad idea?
I mean, outside of inflation, I think that's the biggest.
It's as simple as that, honestly.
That's the biggest risk.
Just 2 reasons. The first one is all the central banks, all the governments in the world are printing a ton of money to pay for things they can't afford, essentially.
Yep.
And what that does is it raises everybody's money supply. There's more and more money. The more money you have, the higher prices become. Everything becomes more expensive. That's what's called inflation. And so if you hold something like Bitcoin, say, that has a fixed supply in proportion to that amazing amount of dollars being printed, amazing amount of euros being printed, Bitcoin becomes more and more valuable because there's only 21 million Bitcoin ever to be created, and so a lot of dollars, unlimited amounts of dollars. That's reason number 1. The second reason is it's a disproportionate risk versus reward situation where if you buy stocks, they're probably going to go up 7% on average every year, for the foreseeable future, and they very unlikely go to zero. With Bitcoin, it's possible it goes to zero, but it's also possible it goes 10x, 100x, 1000x.
And the
So
and the
it's
average
interesting.
and the average compounding rate is something like 122%. It's like 122% with these peaks and crashes
So far, yeah.
averaged in.
Yeah,
So-
100%. What are you guys' thoughts
Just
on
protecting yourself.
No, absolutely. What are you guys' thoughts on everything that's going with like DeFi? Do you guys know a lot about like sushi?
It's fascinating.
Yeah,
It's fascinating.
yeah, compound.
I'm not personally involved in it, but I find it fascinating.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
you have companies like Binance allowing you to just kind of put your money in there, put it through one of their, DeFi smart contracts, if you will, and maximize your gains unlike anything before, and then if you went the other route of actually going through something like a sushi or a compound or Uniswap, they just started minting their own tokens.
I wish I had bought some Uniswap a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty. Yeah. So I mean, I've been following it heavily. It's probably the thing I look up most in my life.
Oh, cool. I'd love to actually pick
yeah,
your brain about
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I've been a little bit out of the loop.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I definitely can share everything that I know about it, and I continue to pursue it. There was like this one time, like 2 years ago, that I had the Gold Block Network. Didn't really do too much with it. Was trying to create this YouTube channel based around blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Did a class on it, but I stopped that because I didn't see a big future in it for me, because there was a lot smarter people in the room than myself. But I talk about it a lot, and I continue to try to share everything that I know. And I definitely think Bitcoin has a big future, and especially with the news that came out today. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, we can do a whole
Absolutely.
podcast about it.
I really like having 1 foot in it and 1 foot out of it.
Yeah, it's important.
Because I can just hear the number of people turning the podcast off as we go deeper and
Yeah.
deeper into the click, 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 click.
Yeah.
Because I do know that it's just like anything else that gets hype and then has a winter associated with it, is that the only people that stick through the winter are fucking annoying.
Yes.
Because they're persistent, and it's two people technically. It's the people who really, truly, deeply understand it, and they're usually not they're not in the game of trying to necessarily persuade others.
Yeah.
It's more or less just a private thing that they
For sure.
It has.
I would be the exception to your rule.
Yeah, and then there's the other side of okay, right. So Mr. Moon is the persuader that is not on the hype train.
Wow.
He's the one that can talk to you about the technical reasons as to why, and they can go very, very deep into it.
I think I always hyping it when no one wants it to be hyped.
Yeah.
I'm like in 20, whenever like the lowest low is, I'm like,
Yes,
let's go.
yes,
and
yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
like, what? This thing is
2018.
dead. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
what they said, right? After the bubble in 2017. But, look at it now.
There's a difference of really, really wanting it to be a big thing and then really understanding why it's going
Yeah,
to be a
that's
big
it.
thing. And that is the difference between two people talking about it right now in this winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think as time progresses, more and more people are seeing that it's just a valid move to make.
It
You know,
is.
it's like, it's a valid move.
It's really
so-
exciting to see what the future holds with cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. I think there's going to be a
Super
lot of
fascinating.
lot of amazing things that come from it. And who would have thought? 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto, freaking, putting out a little thing called Bitcoin, right?
Absolutely mind-boggling that
Yeah,
he pulled it off.
yeah. Oh
Really.
my fucking God! Yeah, kudos to him.
Give him
Or her.
the freaking Nobel Prize.
Yes, absolutely.
This might be the hardest question that we've asked out of all the questions that we've asked, but is it a he? Is he alive? Is it a she? Is she alive? Is it a they? Are they alive?
I believe
I
it's
think
Hal
so-
Finney. I don't know.
I think it's Hal Finney as
Yep.
well.
Yep. Yeah. He's dead, right? So why isn't any money moved? He has 10%, right?
I mean,
Or she, right?
the argument would be that they definitely know the potential and know that it's not even scratched yet.
Sure. There's that, but I just like to be logical about it. So he died with his keys.
I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure it was Hal Finney.
Yeah.
It's
it just
entirely
makes
possible,
sense.
but there's early wallets from people that were known and just early participants who remained anonymous that haven't moved their stuff in a long time either,
Sure.
or just
true.
out of conviction, and so hard to say.
Yeah.
I don't think Hal Finney's coins have moved around too much either.
No.
I mean, he was the first one to receive a transaction from the Genesis block, right?
Yeah.
After Satoshi.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mhm.
So we'll.
So
Yeah.
either was or knew who was.
Yeah.
I
don't
mean,
know.
what
It,
are the odds?
it just makes sense. Like, where's Hal Finney now? He's passed
That's what
away.
I would do. I would make another account and
Yeah.
be like,
You
oh,
got a
hey,
body?
yeah,
You got a body?
here you go.
Fuck, man. Yeah. So what? Those then, if those never moved, then those,
burned.
just burned. That's
That makes it
crazy.
even better.
It
the
does.
more never moved, the more lost, the more people, just forget about their wallet or
So-
passport or whatever, the better it gets for everybody else.
The real supply is closer to like 20 million than 21 million just
Exactly.
with the Satoshi coins.
Yeah, exactly. Whew. I mean, really imagine if this does take off like we do believe, and it does become, even half of what gold is, or 1/4 of what gold is. That's astonishing. But
You'll be able to like start like a space focused startup with one
one
coin.
Bitcoin. Yeah, well, we'll see. All right. Hey, gentlemen, I want to thank you guys so much for coming on. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. This conversation has been a lot of fun, and I always enjoy being on a podcast or just even being in a room with people that are fuck ton smarter than myself, because every single time that happens, I take a little bit from it, and it just makes me a better person. And it's just been such an honor to really have a in-depth conversation with the both of you, because this man sitting to the right of me, I guess, is one of my best friends on this planet, and he talks so much about you guys. And I just appreciate it from the bottom of my
It's
heart.
great to officially meet you, and
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Really appreciate it.
It's an honor to be here as well.
Thank you. We got to get you guys in the studio one of these days.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
And thank you so much for listening back to your story. Have a good night, people. Peace out, motherfucker. Boom. Later, guys. Wowzers. Thank you so much for watching Back to Your Story. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Hit that bad boy right there. You see my head? Hit that. And we're constantly putting out new clips and new teasers. Hit that bad boy right there so you can see some of the greatest stuff that we're putting out. Thank you so much from the bottom of our heart for watching Back to Your Story. Have a good night, people. Mazel tov.